Mushrooms. They can be deadly, but they can also heal us. They're neither plant nor animal. Oh, and they can also make you trip out. They're the perfect example of nature's dichotomy. Dangerous, yet beneficial. Every time we step foot outside into the world, we risk injury, disaster, misfortune, but we also open ourselves up to opportunity, success, and reward. Many of our late ancestors were poisoned while foraging, but not the smart foragers. In early indigenous cultures, hunters would watch carefully as animals feasted on one type of fungi, but cautiously avoided others. The logical conclusion was that some mushrooms were to be avoided. Claudius, the Roman emperor, died 54 CE after reportedly eating what was believed to be a poisonous death cap mushroom. What a name for a mushroom, by the way. In fact, many historians believe that Claudius's wife, Agrippina the Younger, poisoned her husband in what became a successful effort to bring her son Nero to the throne. It's treachery at its finest, honestly, but also the guy had 4 wives. Agrippina was his niece, so this death cap that he supposedly ate and got poisoned with, also known as the Amanita phalloids.
More like I'm gonna need an ambulance, am I right?
Sorry. The death cap is considered a toadstool. Toadstools being a broad definition for any type of fungi with an umbrella-shaped cap that's inedible and often poisonous. The death cap is especially dangerous because its harmfulness does not reveal itself right away. It reveals itself when it's often too late, much like carbon monoxide poisoning. 6 to 12 hours after eating, you'll be fine. 12 to 24 hours is when the severe illnesses begin. After 1 to 3 days, your symptoms will begin to clear up, giving you the impression that you're improving. Meanwhile, your liver, responsible for processing the fungi that you ate alongside several other organs, are experiencing internal damage. I gotta blur that. 3 to 7 days without medical treatment, one risks organ failure, and 1 to 2 weeks can be fatal. So I'm doing research, and my first question with this Claudius story is, if there's signs that one can be poisoned by a death cap and those symptoms gradually get more extreme, why did Claudius not seek medical treatment before it was too late? I mean, did the guy get chained up to his bed? What happened? And honestly, I wish I had a satisfying answer for you guys, but honestly, it's the thing about history is like a lot of facts get left up to speculation. Anyways, why am I talking about mushrooms? As you may know, Minecraft has 2 types of mushrooms, the red mushroom and the brown mushroom. Oh yeah, and I guess there's those 2 as well. There's mushrooms, mushroom blocks, mushroom stems, mooshrooms, shroom lights, mushroom stew, warped in crimson logs, warped in crimson nylium, and most importantly, there's also mycelium, which while it's not explicitly stated as a fungi block, mycelium is a network of roots that bear the mushroom. Without mycelium, there's no mushroom, which would explain why the mushroom fields are comprised of entirely mycelium instead of grass. This is one of the many aspects of the mushroom fields that was done correctly, but like many things in Minecraft, not everything is biologically accurate. Hey, what's up, dude? You hungry? Yeah, man, that caving trip was crazy. I could really use a bite to eat. I got some cooked chicken, cooked steak, I even got some lamb chops. What do you... How long has that been in there? Well, I did have a chicken farm going for like 5 weeks, so it could be anywhere from yesterday to like last month. For this episode, I'm gonna fix that. The goal is to make a biologically accurate mushroom fields base, find a mushroom fields that is inland rather than in the middle of an ocean. And a bonus challenge is, for this episode, I'm only eating mushroom related items throughout the whole episode. Let's start here. What did the mushroom fields get right? First of all is the mycelium network. Like real life, all mushrooms in the mushroom fields are connected to a mycelium network. The mushroom is like the fruit, while the mycelium is like the tree. Like I said before, without mycelium, there's no mushroom. Number 2 is spore particles, because if you look at the mycelium, you'll see that there are these little gray spore particles, and that's accurate to the mushroom reproduction process. The reproduction process for mushrooms is not like most humans and animals insofar as you need 2 different living beings. Individual mushrooms can create new mushrooms using spores.
They're able to grow as sexual fungi and as asexual fungi. It takes a lot more energy to grow fruiting bodies, but the spores that form sexually have the ability to serve as resting spores.
Organic material. Mycelium needs organic material to develop. At first I thought the mushroom fields lacked this because there's no decaying wood, leaf litter, or even decomposing flesh from hostile mobs. And there needs to be some sort of organic material so that the hyphae can develop mushrooms and then release spores. But then I remembered these guys, which produce dung, an infamously effective organic material used for growing mushrooms. And there's usually a ton of mooshrooms in the mushroom fields. A higher calorie Chow ratio than any other biome. Also, when they do eventually become decaying flesh, rest in peace, that provides further nutrients to the growing hyphae. Wow, I came on here to get a shot of the mycelium on the floor, and I was gonna say it's so unrealistic. Why would there only be a layer of mycelium and nothing below? But then I kept mining for a bit and I noticed, wait, there actually is a bit of mycelium below. I feel like realistically it should be more than the occasional like single spot here, but it is, they did add a little bit, so it is something. The occasional downpour is also important because it would help the spores to germinate, and it would also provide nutrients to the organic material I was talking about before, which the hyphae would feed on and then grow into these large networks of mycelium. So now let's talk about what the mushroom fields got wrong. Mushrooms are a non-inland biome. If you read the World Generation Wiki, you'll learn that the mushroom fields are meant to be always surrounded by oceans or deep oceans. And I assume that Mojang did that for the purposes of isolation, rarity, and safety from hostile mobs because no mobs spawn there. But realistically, it would be highly unlikely that any isolated plot of land would be able to cultivate such a mushroomy environment. I mean, just using my common sense thinking about it, you have a contained cave that's closed off from the entire world. Those spores have nowhere to go, and therefore they have a better chance of reproducing. If I'm in a completely open plot of land in the ocean with an open atmosphere, those spores are not contained at all. They can go in all different types of directions. And I was thinking about it, and honestly, the dark forest is kind of a more realistic depiction of what a mushroom fields would look like in the wild. I put a bounty out there a few days ago. I started with $30, and I told people if anybody can find a mushroom field biome inland or on the coast somewhere, I would shout them out and I would PayPal them $30. 2 days passed, I didn't get any response, so I had to up the bounty to $50. As of recording this, still nobody has found it yet, and I still haven't found it yet, but I believe that somewhere out there is an inland mushroom fields biome. Unrealistic mushroom scales. The question is, like its Minecraft counterpart, does real life have these giant mushrooms? And we see giant mushrooms all the time, like the humongous one in Oregon. The problem with the brown mushroom is it could be a few different mushrooms, so I can't say for sure whether or not the scale is realistic. Like it could be a death cap mushroom potentially, but I think it's a little bit pale on the cap there to be a death cap. It could be a small puffball because puffballs often end up brown, especially as they get larger. But the problem is it couldn't be a puffball because the giant puffballs are not the same shape as giant brown mushrooms. And looking at this brown mushroom here, I think what it is it belongs to the Agaricus bisporus family, which includes the white button mushroom, the cremini, and the portobello, which I just learned for this video are all the same mushroom, just at different growth stages. And out of those three, I think it looks most like a cremini. But regardless of which Agaricus bisporus it actually looks like, all three of those mushrooms do not grow to a giant size. So what I'm trying to say is the scale is not realistic. Unlike the brown mushroom though, we actually can narrow down the red mushroom to the fly agaric, otherwise known as the Amanita muscaria. And you've definitely seen this one before because it's the most famously photographed mushroom. It's always shown in kids' books and videos and stuff like that. And my question is, with this fly agaric mushroom, does it grow to such jumbo sizes? And the same with the brown mushroom, the answer is no. Let's take a look at the map we saw at the beginning of the video called Luna's Mushrooms. The great thing about this map is it showcases different mushroom designs on a gradually increasing scale, and we can find the scale that's most realistic and use this as a reference for when we're building with larger mushrooms. And so looking at all these mushrooms here, it seems that this mushroom would be a better example of a jumbo fly agaric. And as for that brown mushroom I was talking about, which I believe to be the cremini, it would look more about this size. Lack of mushroom variety. All this mycelium, and you're going to tell me that there's only two types of mushrooms, and the fact that there's two means that they could reproduce together to create what should be new distinct types of mushrooms, right? So the solution for this one should be as simple as just building new custom mushrooms throughout. And I'm going to choose a couple of my favorite mushrooms for this one. Building some that are jumbo, building some that are tiny, some that grow in trees, some that grow in the ground. I feel like that aspect of the build in particular will really make this mushroom field stand out. So there you go, guys. There's a couple reasons why the mushroom fields were done correctly, and there's a couple reasons why the mushroom fields were done incorrectly. What do you guys think? Do you guys think it's more realistic than not, or is it more like fantasy? But anyways, the first step is going on Chunkbase and finding an inland mushroom fields. Is this how early explorers felt? Just sifting through maps trying to figure out where the hell to go? Jarvis Enhance. That's like a 200 block difference again. It's not supposed to be possible, but we know that even in reality there's anomalies. Things that aren't supposed to happen happen. Like I learned that Dennis the Menace, that cartoon, was made in two completely different countries on the exact same day, and neither of those dudes copied each other. Things happen that aren't supposed to happen. Where is the mushroom? This whole continentalness factor that I was talking about seems to be pretty concrete. Like I've seen mushroom fields that, for example, are like, how far is this? This is like a 200 block distance from the plains. Guys, this is gambler's fallacy at its peak. I've invested so much time and energy into this that to give up now, in my view, would be a mistake. In life, you have to know when to call it quits. And I'm even on the Mushroom Fields Minecraft wiki here, and there's a specific line that says it's no longer possible for mushroom fields to generate connected to other land biomes. And that was for 1.18, which was quite a while ago. They even got some historical screenshots here from people before the 1.18 snapshot. A couple different biomes connecting to the mushroom fields here. This is what I wanted. So as much as I wanted to do this, it looks like we're gonna have to go with our backup plan here. But I will say I've spent so much time searching through Chunk Base. I've spent probably 2.5 hours on my community post. I had a couple people who spent an hour. Shout out to you guys. And still nothing. We've checked millions of blocks here, but I want to keep it going because at this point it's like I need to know. I am putting a $200 bounty out there. If you're able to find one, I'm gonna shout you out. I'm gonna PayPal you $200 Canadian, because not only would that be incredible for the video, especially because I put a bounty on it, but also the fact that we could change what's said in the wiki here, like the fact that it says it's no longer possible. We're gonna prove them wrong. So for this backup plan, guys, if we can't find a mushroom fields biome inland, we can find one that has coasts nearby. And not only that, but if you look at these biomes specifically, we're dealing with dark forests and we're dealing with swamps, two biomes that naturally produce those large mushrooms. And so we can tell a story here using the geography and knowing things about like ocean currents and wind and stuff like that, because this is realistic. If mushrooms are in this dark forest and if mushrooms are in this swamp and the ocean current is traveling this way, then a lot of the spores would end up on this island here, and it could explain why it might end up as a mushroom fields. So although it's not inland, it's not totally unrealistic to believe that spores would make their way over here and germinate and then completely take over the place, especially knowing what I said about dung and all that other stuff. We're setting up a little marker here, mushroom build, and let's make our way over. Finally, guys, we made it into the survival world here. I've been doing all this planning, all this editing. I've been hyping up this video so much. I'm excited. All of my food items here have to go into the food chest because we're starting off with absolutely no food, and we got to get ourselves some mushroom stew. And we got about 30,000 blocks ahead of us, so let's get going. And now is a better time than any to talk about the 3 food sources that we're going to be dealing with. So there's 3 different mushroom related stews. There's the mushroom stew, there's the rabbit stew, and the suspicious stew. Oh my goodness, I thought this was a flying ship for a second. What the heck? Let's land here and explain how it works. So let's compare these 3 stews, right? The mushroom stew is the worst, but it's the easiest to craft. As you can see, it takes a lot of inventory space up too, so we want to try and upgrade as fast as possible. And the next step up would be rabbit stew. For that, we'll need a rabbit farm, a carrot farm, and a baked potato farm, along with some brown mushrooms. Then finally, we can get the best food in the game, which is suspicious stew. But not just any suspicious stew, because as you guys probably know, there's a couple different types. So I could get the wither effect, I could get blindness, I could get nausea, but one of those effects is actually a saturation effect. The suspicious stew with the saturation effect not only fills up a bunch of hunger, but it keeps you full for a long time. And you can do that by crafting the stew with a golden dandelion, a regular dandelion, or a blue orchid. But there is an infinite way to get this suspicious stew with saturation. What we'll need is some brown mushrooms. And then all we have to do is feed these brown mushrooms the blue orchid or either of the dandelion variants, and anytime we milk it with a bowl, we get the saturation suspicious stew. And honestly, just thinking about it, maybe that suspicious stew with saturation would actually be easier to craft and obtain than the rabbit stew. So even though it's better, the rabbit stew might end up being the last food item that we get in bulk. But anyways, yeah, get used to me opening up my inventory and it just being completely full with bowls of some variation of stew. Aha, fallen tree spotted. Is there a mushroom on either of these ones? No. You guys know how those fallen trees sometimes have mushrooms on them? I'm trying to find one of them. This is what I'm talking about, people. Mojang cooked here because the tree is obviously dead. It's broken off. It's a decaying tree. It's not growing anymore. And it's this stage with the decaying organic material that the mycelium starts to dig its roots into and suck up all its nutrients so that it can sprout mushrooms. So it's a small feature that they added with the Spring to Life update, but it's definitely realistic. But I did kind of find it funny that like Mojang, instead of adding a new mushroom that you could put on the side of a standing tree, they're like, no, we're keeping the old mushroom and we're just going to tear the trees down, which leads to a conversation that I find interesting, which is like, what funguses should they add to the game? Specifically funguses that grow on trees and would grow out the side, kind of like the way an amethyst grows out the side, except it's a fungus instead. I got a couple ideas. These are the top 5 mushrooms that I think should grow on trees, just based entirely on vibes and aesthetics. Number 1, we got shiitake. Number 2, we got the white oyster mushroom. Number 3, we got the wood ear. Number 4, we got the non-inky caprinus. And number 5, we got the enoki mushroom. Let me know what you guys think. Did I miss any cool ones? If these mushrooms got implemented, how would they actually be used? I'm considering that too. I'm drinking 1 rabbit stew and it was for the achievement. Same with the beetroot soup. There it is. 134, which is quite a few. And I'm realizing what it is, guys. It was my 100 days nether playthrough. I was was like all I was eating in that playthrough, and I'm rekindled again with the mushroom stew. It's good to be back. This is why I love doing these challenges though, because, oh, another fungus spotted here. I feel like it's a special little something now that I know kind of like the biology behind it. Oh, it looks like we can craft some suspicious stews. We got one with an azure bluette. Let's take a sip here. What do we got? Okay, that's blindness. Dang, that's a long blindness too. I remember I drank that potion when I was trying to get every status effect in the game. One of the craziest things I've ever done.
That's it! That's it! Yo! Yes!
The suspicious stew is with the blue cornflower here. Let's take a sip. What do we got? We got jump boost. You can like jump over the dog. There you go. But basically every suspicious stew that's not the one with saturation is kind of pointless because it gives the exact same hunger as a regular mushroom stew. But if I look right to my left, what's this? Some dandelions? We got a bunch of saturation suspicious stews. That did not take long to upgrade. I'm curious to see the difference though. I'll play around with it a little bit and see how much I notice, like how long it takes me to get hungry again. Keeping in mind that different behaviors affect your hunger. Like if I'm running, that affects it. If I'm punching an enemy, that affects it. So right now I'm just flying with an elytra. Oh, this is a meadow here. Maybe we can find some rabbits. But yeah, I don't know about the rabbit stew because you have to kill the rabbits, you have to cook the rabbits, you have to cook the baked potatoes, you have to farm the potatoes and the carrots. It's just such a difficult item to craft. It's more like a novelty style food. What the heck?
Huh?
Oh my gosh, I was like, what are these guys? From the back, they almost look like that's their skin. They look like baby, like, doesn't that look like their hair and not a hood from the back? I was like, did they introduce a new mob? Is this April Fool's still? Oh my goodness. Do any OG fans have any idea what this portal is right here? 2 words, guys. Uneasy Alliance. He doesn't go through at this point. I'm buying pizza anyways. No, I'm kidding. I would never. Let's go! I feel like this isn't true, but I just gotta check. Somebody said that if you bone meal in a swamp, you can get a lily pad. Yeah, there. Come on now. Stop playing games with me, guys. I've been running around like crazy. I've been flying. I've been jumping, and I still have not had to drink one suspicious stew yet since the first one that I drank. So this is definitely the way to go. I'm not feeling annoyed by having to manage food. Who knows? Maybe I'll even translate this into the regular survival. Like I should carry a couple suspicious stews on me if I plan on going out. Is it worth it? Eating a suspicious stew. I have 3 hunger. Whoa! Did you guys just see how many hunger bars that filled up? I don't think I've ever seen a food fill up that much hunger before. And if you do eat and then get a full hunger bar, you get a health boost too. So in a little bit here, I'm going to try and get really low hunger and low hearts and see how much it heals me up. Oh, I love getting those tight squeezes with the elytra. You guys know how I was talking about world generation last episode and how the hoodoos specifically generate according to noise? This generation here I find pretty cool because we have a hoodoo that generated, but then there's a desert, I think, on top of it. Yeah, we got a stony shore on eroded badlands and a desert right beside each other. I'm still like biome blend brained right now. I've yet to see a fallen tree with 2 funguses yet. That would be a sight. Hey, check it out. We found a pink sheep. This is rare. Oh, that is an epic rarity. 0.1%. Because I feel like I've never actually seen a wild pink sheep before. Have any of you guys seen a wild pink sheep before? We got like the trifecta here. We got the brown, black, and pink. Oh, I was looking for this. I challenge you guys to find a fallen tree with both mushroom variants. Because if these 2 exist here, there should be some more wild mushrooms around. You know, they should be releasing spores. Look at this glow squid party, guys. We're just in a regular forest and it's dark. It's just like I was talking about last episode. Glow squids can spawn anywhere. I keep saying anywhere, but you can't find them in the deep dark and you won't be able to find them in the upcoming sulfur caves. These have got to be, in terms of mine shafts, some of the tallest chains. Whoa. Should we loot it? Let me set my spawn. Oh yeah, we were talking about naturally generated candles the other episode. The deep dark also generates white candles, but you can't dye the white candles other colors, only the original ones. First of all, when you're in the deep dark, put your sneak on toggle so that you can hit crouch and you don't have to hold crouch. If I open this chest, it will activate this skulk sensor and also this one because they're nearby enough, which would do nothing if there was no skulk shrieker nearby. So let's just go ahead and break this thing. It's going to activate the skulk sensors when it breaks, but it's not going to sound any alarms. Perfect. So now when I open this one here, it's going to activate these skulk sensors again, but there's no shrieker nearby to actually activate the warden, which for some reason I never actually took in because I know how the skulk shriekers and the sensors work. It's just based on a range and activation, and we can use that knowledge to loot the deep dark. Seems like there's too many shriekers for me to just take out one, because if I break one, then other ones will inevitably be activated, which means I have to break out the wool. Cover up that skulk sensor there. Let's also just cover up this shrieker. Got a skeleton head there. I didn't know that these places started spawning skeleton heads. Those skulk shriekers there should be out of range, so now we're just dealing with this one here. So we got the nearby skulk shrieker blocked off with wool. I stepped on one. No, I was gonna say this is the second skulk shrieker you could break. This is getting a bit ridiculous, guys, but I lost my shulker box again. I died in the deep dark. I put my shulker box somewhere, but I couldn't find it, and now we're really bare bones here. We're officially back on boat. This is kind of reminiscent of the 100,000 blocks travel journey. At least this time I have an elytra, and I could go through the nether, but I like traveling through the overworld, because then you can ride on ice like this and cover some serious ground. Pro tip for anybody who's doing a mushroom playthrough, it seems like the brown mushrooms are quite wild in snowy taigas. We should be coming up on it here. It's about 1,000 blocks away, but before we get there, I should say I haven't actually scoped this place out yet. Like, I didn't do a world download and then a TP or anything. I just scoped it out on chunk base, so I'm hoping it actually looks good. Oh, we're here, and there's a azalea tree. I didn't check underground, but we're dealing with the lush cave underground, which is interesting because typically the mushroom fields, even below all the way to bedrock, are not supposed to spawn hostile mobs, but if it's a lush cave, they will, which I think could be a good thing for getting zombie villagers and probably a couple other things I'm not thinking about right now. But on the side here, we're dealing, look at this connectedness, guys. But it's not, you know, it's frozen. It's not like land. Where's the swamp and the dark forest that I was talking about? It's a pretty big platform we're dealing with, though. I'm happy to say. Almost too big. I'm a little bit overwhelmed. I'm like, do I change this whole thing or do I choose a spot? The good thing about this, though, is since it's so big, we can kill Mooshrooms and we have a large enough range where they'll still be spawning in. Okay, I'll land on top of this mushroom and let's check chunk base right after I get a trident. They knew my arrival was coming. Oh my goodness. You guys know how I was saying smite's the best weapon? I didn't consider it would actually damage the zombie Nautilus jockey. Great start. I feel like that sums up my entire journey here. I'm here, but with absolutely nothing to show for it between losing my shulker box, and I have no fireworks. I can't even scope the area out. It's daytime. There's no creepers here to kill. Actually, it might be worth headed to that lush cave just to kill some mobs. Well, I was gonna do this anyways, but it looks like we're gonna have to actually play a bit of survival Minecraft here and go caving, get an enchantment set up for a fortune axe so that we can get all these mushrooms real quick. Oh snap, this is gonna be a true beginning here because the only pick I have is silk touch, so I can't even, wait, I was gonna say I can't even get cobble, but you can now using the stone cutter, right? If I crafted a stone cutter, I wouldn't even need to make a wooden pick and go through that whole evolution of picks just to make a furnace and stuff like that. But you need iron to craft a stone cutter, so unless I loot iron from something, I'll have to go through that whole evolution process. Oh snap. New recipes? I was gonna say, I feel like I've never find diamond that's in the stone form, but the fact that I've never silk touched a diamond block before is kind of crazy. The non-deep slate version. I gotta say, how often do you find yourself mining in a mushroom caves? It feels so weird to not have to place torches because there's no mobs here. The caves just feel super empty. The red mushrooms, by the way, if you right click it with a bowl, you can get yourself some mushroom stew. The thing is, only red mushrooms spawn here naturally. The brown mushrooms are what give you the suspicious stew. Ah, okay, there is a mob here. I was wondering. Things feel right again. Mycelium block on the ground. And I didn't drop this block. How could this have showed up, guys? Does this have something to do with the azalea tree spawning all the way at the top where the mycelium was supposed to be? Like, I'm trying to understand. The mystery mycelium. And I might have to do some research on mushrooms that would grow in darker areas. I know that mushrooms, it's not so much based on lighting like it is in Minecraft, so much as it is based on moisture. But I think the fact that caves and underground areas have a lot of moisture in real life is why mushrooms are able to grow. Well, I'll tell you what, I'm really getting a scale of how big this mushroom fields is because I completely lost my workstation area here. This is something I've been getting a lot of enjoyment out of with these new challenges, which is when I start a new challenge here, like the 100 days caving, 100 days nether, 100,000, wait, I'm starting to realize there's a lot of hundreds. 100,000 blocks traveled is what I was gonna say. You're always limited on the resources you have, and so I'm gonna try and make a palette here with the blocks just in this area. I know this sounds stupid, but I'm using coal to smelt coal ore because I mined it with a silk touch pick and I'm too lazy to go back over it with a regular one. I feel like I'm doing a lot of things that people haven't done in this episode. How many of you guys have smelted coal with the coal ore? I don't know why I'm finding that so funny. Oh, here they are, guys. I'm blacked out like a phantom. They still spawn even though there's supposed to be no hostile mobs in this biome. I think what I'm gonna do here is 2 white blocks. We got the mushroom stem and some calcite that I got from an amethyst deposit, the deep slate that I've silk touched, and some deep slate bricks. No, what is this one called? Not the bricks. Oh yeah, it is the bricks. Wait, so what's the other one called? Tiles. And a little bit of moss action here. So we got some lights, we got some darks, and we got some color here. Could use the clay that I get from the lush caves to make some green terracotta. So for this episode, the same way that I want to use real images of mushrooms and reference things, I also want to build a house, but not just any house, because this time we're getting down to the fundamentals. I recently watched a video by Renly Builds that I thought was really good because he broke down building to the fundamentals. tools. And if I go on Google here and I search up just a house with a garage front, do you know what I'm noticing? I'm noticing that basically with every one of these houses, the garage protrudes a little bit forward. The door of the house is a little bit back, the garage is a little bit forward. And that just makes sense because you have to fit a car in there. And if your garage wasn't protruded out front, then your car would be taking up the whole spot of your house. So it just makes sense that most of these houses here have garages that go forward. And so this very crude structure I made in survival here, somehow I already messed it up and I have to change it. Okay, the proportions to me seem better now. This is going to be the doorway entrance and this is the garage. And it seems like with most of these places, the garage door is actually indented a little bit and there's pillars on both sides. So in this case, this spot and this spot here would be the pillar, and we could go a little bit inwards here. This will be our garage door, these will be our pillars, and then it's our front door right here. Kind of like in this image as a reference image, so let's stick with this one. Looking at the front door here, it's not on the same level as the garage, it's elevated. There's a staircase. So now I've got an indented garage, and we have an elevated staircase to the front door. Now we can build the backup here of the house, try and make the proportions somewhat decent here. I'm also trying to work with odd blocks. Okay, so it seems like the shape of a house, at least on a 2D plane here, but we have to build the walls up, so let's do that now. You know, I'm starting to realize that this is what makes a house beautiful. Look at this. The doorway here is a little bit elevated as compared to the door of the garage. Look at these two roofs here. The roof here starts a little bit higher than the garage roof. This window here is copying the same properties of this window, except multiplying it by 3. So even though this one's more horizontal than vertical, whereas this one's more vertical than horizontal, they're still sharing characteristics which tie them together. I guess what I'm trying to say is like there's some uniformness, but there's also some variation, which is basically what I'm trying to achieve with this structure here. Let's see how it goes. I think we got all 3 features here that actually make up a house. The doorway is the lowest elevation, then the garage is a little bit more elevated, and then the actual meat of the house, whatever you want to call it here, is the tallest. I could have pushed it back a bit, but I like the idea of having a slim house here. And now is where I do the fun part of actually taking this palette and applying it to the foundation that I built. All right, here it is, guys, in 3, 2, 1. All right, and here it is, guys. What do you think? Nothing too crazy, but I really like how the structure itself turned out. I also learned the tip from Renly Builds, which is like if you're using a palette, then it shouldn't be like 50-50. You should be using most of one color and then like 10 to 20% of the other. So I have a little bit of moss here, but it's mostly the calcite and deep slate, which I think helps to make the moss stand out, as well as that weathered copper trap door. I gotta add this little wood section up here. I forgot about this. What if we do some mud brick walls? I know it's not exactly like wood, but kind of adds a little bit more depth there. It stands out too much because we didn't use mud brick anywhere else. Maybe I'll just do the actual directions of the logs. Yeah, I think if I change the orientation of the logs, it adds a little bit something there. Okay, so now we've kind of got the color and the shape of my reference image, but one thing that I have to do here, like specifically with a wall like this, I had to set the time today so you guys can see here. These walls are so blank. I don't have any windows or anything like that, but the walls themselves, we should be messing around with different blocks. Like let me take this mushroom stem here that's part of my palette, and I've talked about this before, but in the past what I used to do is I just used to take clusters and break things up and then replace it with a block that looks similar. I would do something like this. I mean, this is obviously a very bad version, and I'm trying to make myself look bad by doing this, but what I'm going to do instead is have some reasoning behind where I'm placing the stems. Could put some stems along the bottom here like a ring because the stems are darker than the calcite, so it allows a bit of a transition between that deep slate to the calcite. Then we jump in there with some stripped pale oak, and if you compare the stripped pale oak to the calcite, you'll see that it actually looks lighter. So let's go to a spot where the sun would really hit, like the middle of a corner here. The sun would be slamming on this spot, so I put it in the corner there, and then as I expand out on both sides of the walls, I kind of thin it out until it's completely closed off. There we go, just like that. And it looks crazy right now, but trust the process, guys. And we're gonna take a diorite wall, because I also like to do this in the corners too, as we make walls a little bit. We deal with the thickness. Now let's go to a spot that the sun wouldn't hit, like a dark spot, kind of up here. All right, I think it's looking a lot better now because we put the dark blocks at the top to blend it with the roof. We added some walls, trap doors here for the windows, as well as some glow lichen for lighting and transitioning. I did a little bit of a different window on this side. You can use the fence gates. It doesn't look too great because they're super close together, but you guys get the idea. And now all we got to do is take this beautiful build and implement it into the survival world. So here we go. And I know what you guys are thinking, like, why are you building a regular house when you're doing a mushroom episode? And I think that there needs to be at least one regular house amongst all the fantasy to show that me as the player, I've settled in this fantasy world. And once we've done that, we can start to move on to custom mushrooms. This is the first time in Minecraft that I'm ever going out of my way to bone meal and farm the actual grass in the game. Because in the the mushroom fields, I'm limited on grass, and I don't want to waste fireworks to go super far away. I never thought I'd see the day. Resources that you feel like are completely useless and you can get anywhere all of a sudden become scarce. Anyways, guys, here's the house. I tried to do my best to put it into the survival as accurately as possible, but I feel like there's always a little bit of difference when you're changing it up, bringing it to your survival world. I know there's mods like Axiom where you can copy builds in creative and then just right click to place the blocks. Some people feel like it's okay because on the one hand it's like a skill to be able to build things and rebuild things and keep the scale and proportions, but on the other hand that's a super tedious and annoying work. And if you've already made the build once and you can show that you could do it, you know, I don't blame any creators for using that feature in Axiom. Still gotta do a couple things, but this is my little driveway here, and we got a big mushroom. I don't know if I'm driving mushrooms around or what. If you want to go through the driveway, you gotta make sure you get an elytra so that you can I don't even think you can squeeze through. It's too small of a space. You have to go around it. Pretty bare bones, but this is the interior right now. I'm gonna do some storage here, and then upstairs we're gonna do a little bit of shrubbery, showing off some plants. I'll probably show off all the different mushrooms that I collected, but guys, we have a serious problem. I'm almost 2 weeks into this mushroom series escapade, whatever you want to call it, and I just realized after all this time that lichen is considered a fungus. Well, it's actually kind of complicated because I was reading and it says that lichen and mycelium have this symbiotic relationship, but lichen is also classified as a fungus. So I'm like, how can two things have a relationship with each other if they're the same thing? But yeah, with that said, we'll definitely have to do a lichen farm and implement some lichen throughout this build. I was gonna say mushroom caves, I meant lush caves here, and I'm connected to the mushroom fields, and the grass here is so green. To all the people who said that the mushroom fields grass is the best, no arguments here. I like playing with Biome Blend Off sometimes because you can see the randomness. Like when it transitions from lush cave to deep frozen ocean, there's a single block here that belongs to the deep frozen ocean, so it's just a chilly little block, and I'm good again. Got some fireworks now that I killed those creepers. Maybe we can scope this area out a little bit more. So this is the dark forest that's connected to the side of the ocean. As you guys can see here, we've got giant mushrooms growing throughout. So since we couldn't find an inland mushroom biome, sadly, my new justification is that the spores that are germinating in this area are traveling through the ocean. Thanks to the trajectory of the ocean current, they make their way over to this mushroom island, which was once just a dirt patch long ago. But as you guys can see, the mushrooms have officially taken over, and the Mooshrooms used to be cows. That's the lore behind this mushroom island. I'm taking a little bit of lore from the actual game and stealing a little bit of lore from how mushrooms work in real life. Aha, check this out, guys. What's this right here? Deep ocean on the side of the mushroom field. So would mobs be able to spawn in this spot? We're gonna have to check back at nighttime. Yeah, we got a couple spots here. I don't know if they would, I don't know if the game would recognize that as a place that could spawn mobs. Nearby that dark forest over there is this swamp as well. And in Java Edition, the jumbo mushrooms do not grow in the swamp, but in Bedrock Edition they do. But I will say that the swamp has a lot of mushrooms this size as well, so the same logic applies in terms of I'm saying like all of the spores are germinating and then making their way through the ocean over to the mushroom island. So the lore has been established. These guys here are another rare commodity because they're the other flower I can use to create the saturation suspicious stew. So if I needed a nearby flower to craft them, I could bone meal the floor here. The blue orchids, honestly one of my favorite flowers. I learned the other day that Jeb, the developer of Minecraft, created the peony because it was the main flower that was used at his wedding. So that's kind of like interesting lore. Whenever I see a peony, I'll think of Jeb. I think another reason why Mojang's trying to make sure you can't spawn inland in a mushroom fields biome is because there's no trees there. And if you could spawn there, you'd have to swim out super far like I'm doing right now because you don't have an elytra and fireworks or nothing. So it would be quite an annoying way to start the game. Just to get resources, you have to swim super far and then decide if you want to come back. Look at all these mobs on here. We got a spider jockey, a witch, and like 5 zombies, but it is a full moon. Ever since I looked at that fact, I've looked at the world differently. Oh my goodness, where I'm like, this is like a boss fight right here. This forest fire, I don't want it to take out all the trees. I kind of want these trees to stay. Trying to like contain the fire here. Oh, actually we got pretty good. Surprisingly not too bad here, the damage. All right, check this out. So this is my attempt at inventory managing all of the suspicious stews that are constantly going to be in my inventory. So the thing is, you can't stack suspicious stews, but you can stack the 4 items it takes to craft them. So if I have a bundle here and I put the mushrooms in, I put the bowls in, and I put the dandelions in, and actually just thinking about it, we don't need as many bowls. We only need a few bowls because we can reuse them. So a bundle can carry 64. Let's do 64 divided by 3 is about like what, 14? I think this is a good ratio to go with here. We got 18 of each mushroom, we got 18 dandelions, and then 10 bowls. That'll make for 18 suspicious stew in total before I have to refill. And I mean, these are items that you kind of get in the wild all over the place, so I could fill it up as we go too. I think it's a decent system, is what I'm trying to say. But this is getting me to think though, if an item is in your bundle, like I have all the items necessary to craft a suspicious stew, I should be able to craft it in this menu here. Just a suggestion, Mojang, I know you're listening. This is kind of embarrassing because as a huge bamboo fan, for some reason I didn't know that you could use 2 pieces of bamboo to craft sticks. This entire time, if I needed sticks, and bamboo is my primary wood source, I would turn it into a block of bamboo, then bamboo planks, then sticks. Whole time I could have just been doing that. Another pro tip for you guys. Am I going crazy here, or did 2 cherry trees grow right beside each other? But that kind of looks epic, guys. Imagine like a 2x2 cherry tree. I mean, you can definitely do it custom, but I mean just in the wild. That sure would be the cherry on top. I gotta say, guys, it's hard to describe this feeling of caving in the mushroom fields with no mobs, because it is just silent. The only sound you hear is the occasional bat squeak, or the occasional bat murder. I can't get enough of it, guys. It's so beautiful. The mushroom fields grass, but in the lush caves, and there's no hostile creepers to come around and destroy it. Dude, even the vines on the side there, too, are super green. It's the Flashback mod, so it's just records your gameplay.
Oh, I know what you're gonna do now. I know it already.
So I'm recording, then when I'm done, you can pause, cancel, or finish. And it's like an editing scene in Minecraft. You can do so much. You can delete everything so that it's like green.
Minecraft?
Bro.
Yeah. You can do green screens with your name tags, remove particles.
This program is in Minecraft?
Yeah, I'm still in Minecraft right now. You can do a camera shot like this and then pan in on yourself. So like,
Dude, that's gonna be so insane for new shots. Oh my god. I've used that type of thing in the GTA.
I was gonna say that's what it reminded me of.
The GTA video editor.
and I can take this skin here, like let's say I wanted to do a replay with you but you weren't available. I can upload a skin, Batman Lou. Now it's Batman Lou's skin. This is the best part of my opinion though, which is you can go in creative and then place blocks.
Wow.
Place blocks with the flashback mod, and then when I'm done placing blocks, then there's a block override, so I can choose when those blocks actually show up.
Holy
And now they show up, see?
That's cool.
That all these 3 mushrooms are the same mushroom, just at different stages in their life.
Oh, that's interesting.
I thought
Right,
these were
that's
all
cool.
different mushrooms.
So that's why I don't like any of them.
So which one is the one that they put on the pizza?
The white button.
The white button? Honestly, I don't understand how someone can buy a burger and then they're like, yeah, you know, throw on the whole cap of a mushroom on top of it too.
$6 portobello mushroom burger, you'll never ever not have a burger again. What?
It works though, because it's circular like a burger.
I know, but I'm just saying, like, I don't know.
Like a
dude.
tomato,
It's not
right?
the-
If it's
No,
thin
it's not
enough.
thin, dude. It's like they use like the bun.
You know what? Like the trend that I disagree with the most in fast food, whenever Wendy's does their mushroom menu, but bacon mushroom portobello melt. Look, do you eat those?
Now that you're saying it
You
out
do?
loud, I kind of want to try it. I want to do like a Wendy's taste test of the portobello mushroom burger. But I think for the video, I'd rather like, I kind of want to go out and forage for a mushroom, but I'm too afraid to actually eat it.
I wouldn't look at. Don't eat it.
You have to get
You don't
someone
look
to
at you-
show
I
you.
Yeah,
know,
you
I
really-
know. I would have to go to an expert somehow.
Yeah, don't eat it.
Saw videos of people like foraging in the wild, doesn't matter what it is. People say doesn't matter if you studied or researched, the most safe way is to have someone show you themselves, teach you themselves firsthand. So you can
know.
make mistakes in books and stuff, but like having someone show you what mistakes to make and
The death cap mushroom specifically is like
Ooh, the death cap.
the mushroom that like kills the most people because it's poisonous, but it looks a lot like a early stage
Another one.
puffball.
Yeah.
And people love puffballs, like the foragers, so they're always trying to like find puffballs and stuff, and they end up eating a freaking death cap.
I think remember that one guy when we were going through our mushroom phases? He found like a giant puffball and he'd cut it up and he'd cook it and everything. But since it's so fucking like, you know, developed, like it's fully like, it doesn't puff at this point. It's just like a full round mushroom. So he cuts it up. It's like, it's like tofu, but a little bit more bland.
Hey, Jonas, do you think of all the times Matt touched, we found those puffballs, do you think it was ever a
Puffballs?
death cap?
Nah.
No, they don't grow here.
We've seen a few puffballs though. Is the death cap also the Christmas mushroom?
No, the death cap is the Amanita phalloides. Is like the scientific name.
Oh, that's okay, yeah. Christmas mushroom is Amanita muscaria.
Yeah, that's another poisonous one.
That's the Christmas one though. That's the one that the reindeers eat. And then when they piss, you can drink the piss. And it'll be like full of those mushrooms. It'll make you high basically. Filled with like the toxins from the mushroom.
Oh, but it won't kill you because it's been like processed already or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Wait, specifically the Amanita muscaria?
Yeah, it's the reindeer mushroom.
Like, that's actually a fun fact. What the
How often do you have to drink reindeer piss to know that? Or
They drink it like, it's not hitting yet. Drink some more.
do they drink it regularly and then one time?
How do they collect the piss though?
Hopper and minecart, obviously.
How could I have reindeer pissing in Minecraft?
No, get a llama, like a brown llama. Do that thing you're doing in creative mode with like the snot nose. What's the yellow particle? Honey. Make honey come out of his ass.
You know, you can actually save more now with 2 clicks.
Make the honey particle come
Are
out
you
of his
are you a
ass.
smart fella or are you a fart smeller?
I didn't watch the movie because I couldn't find it, but I watched as much as I could for free of the grizzly man or bear man.
Did you see Herner Wertzog's reaction to watching the bear clip?
Or listening to it.
Oh, yeah, listening to it.
Yes, he's saying I must never listen to this.
You must destroy this footage. It is the white elephant of your life.
You should destroy it because it will be the white elephant in your room all your life.
Well, it doesn't actually
Everyone
play the
says-
audio. It's just
Well,
him
no,
listening
yeah,
to it.
There's
just him
audio
following it.
online, but people say that it's fake.
Someone should never
It
hear this
is
again.
fake. It's never been released. Dude, I've gone down this rabbit hole.
Then after that, I watched a video of a guy who survived a grizzly attack. His
Yeah.
face is all
His
f***ed
jaw.
up and
Dude,
he's
we
bald.
went down the
Yes.
same rabbit hole. What the f?
He also said he had his bear spray in his hand and he put it back in his truck, so he didn't need it.
Oh, he didn't need the bear spray? Oh, yikes.
Like Aaron Ralston not bringing the big knife, and he went 127 hours.
Wait, did he have it? Was it a decision he decided to do?
He couldn't find his like really good combat knife, so he just brought the smallest like Swiss Army knife he had. He had to cut off his arm with the smallest knife
Did
on
they
the
show it
Swiss
in the
Army
movie,
knife.
or is it just like a...
Oh yeah, they showed him like looking for his knife, and he just gave up and just took his Swiss Army knife.
I can still hear the sound of the nerve breaking
Yeah, the
when he
nerve,
cuts
yeah,
it with
that's
the
why I
knife.
can't,
Oh
that's why I
my
can't watch
goodness.
that. Oh, dude,
Sound like a
fucking...
truck horn or just like.
It's such a high-pitched
it's
noise.
like-
That's such a good representation of like the nerve being touched.
Yeah.
Basically,
Shout out
like,
to the sound designer, bro. My 100 Days Cavian video was a reference to 127 days.
Oh yeah, you did do that.
Real ones know. Damn, just thinking about that video too, I'm like picturing in my head. For the intro, it was like when I was in the heat of doing report cards too, bro. And in the intro, I mentioned that I was like pretending to be my boss, and I was like, you gotta do report cards.
Hey, Aaron here. Leave a message. Hey, Luca here. Leave a message.
Wait, so did you see the Minecraft video I sent of the guy? He's just floating around in his creative world.
Yeah,
He's
the
like-
ball knowledge. I love that guy.
That's what I was thinking. I'm gonna say.
We got Jesse and Jane watching the TV.
We got. Yeah.
Dude, speaking of Family Guy, the best one he did was, we got. It insists upon itself.
We go. It insists upon itself.
when Peter's saying why he doesn't like The Godfather. How can you not like The Godfather? It's a cinematic masterpiece. Lois.
Did not like the movie.
What didn't you like about it?
It insists upon itself, Lois.
We go. Lois. Yeah, I'm done.
There's this one mushroom.
You guys are loving this single mushroom, eh? Garnering a lot of attention. We go. A single mushroom. Have you actually tried swimming in the swamp? Fogginess?
Actually, I haven't. I watched your video how like it was murky.
I wasn't able to like be right beside a swamp and a regular body of water, but when you swim and transition from one to the other, whoa, that's a pretty cool visual look.
What happens if I bone meal the ground?
Why did I not think of that? Don't tell me.
I assume it plants more mushrooms.
I assume it does a field of mushrooms as well.
3, 2, 1. Absolutely nothing.
You can't? Oh, that was anticlimactic. Okay, forget
You
it.
can use it to grow mushrooms though, right?
Yeah. You know,
I
there's a
have one.
big jade market where you can like gamble on it and buy a jade and then cut it open and see.
Nick and I were talking about that before.
Really? See how clean it is on the inside?
They were trying to see how well if we could possibly
Well, like, get into the jade market?
get into the jade market and then like innovate and make new ways how to make money off the jade rock gambling business.
You know what they say, when there's a gold mine, the ones who make the most are the ones selling the shovels. So how can we capitalize on the people cutting up jades? We got to invest in like stone cutters or like gem cutters. What's the shovel in this scenario?
Is the
They should
middle.
have, I'm surprised they should have jade in Minecraft, bro. I don't know. I guess yeah, jade's too similar to emerald, come to think of it. But I feel like people who are into stones would like in real life would say like jade and emerald. Like, how dare you?
Yeah, actually, jade's a metamorphosis rock and emerald's more of a
Metamorphosis.
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 Morphosis.
Dude, I was thinking that that too.
Metamorphosis. Metamorphosis.
Metamorphosis.
What did I say? Metamorphic? Metamorphic. Metamorphic rock. Metamorphic rock.
So FOV stands for field of view. Mine is 90. So just my preference.
Whoa.
So just
Am I recording? I will comment on the fact that the most popular YouTuber uses 90 FOV. And I'm also going to comment on the fact that Canada finally got the chicken strips, the saucy nugs from Wendy's. And they're okay, but like, I just can't believe they're a viral trend. Not sponsored, by the way. Pros use 90 FOV, guys. Now that we got a bit of a main headquarters here at the Mushroom Fields, we can start to populate this place with custom mushrooms. But not just any custom mushrooms. I'm not just going to build things that look like mushrooms. We're going to base it on real life mushrooms. In terms of scales, I'm going to try and keep everything realistic to what the scale of the mushroom is in real life, but I'm going to go a little bit drastic, upscale a few different mushrooms here so that they're jumbo and they look great. So now someone's got to come along and make a video about me, why my mushroom fields are unrealistic. Alright guys, so we've talked a lot about the Amanita muscaria, which is the red mushroom that's poisonous, very infamous. It's a mushroom that's in Minecraft, but a mushroom that's very similar, however not in Minecraft, is the Amanita caesariae, which is also known as Caesar's mushroom. And so like Caesar's mushroom, I'm going with blocks that are orange, but also have little hints of white throughout them to symbolize the white specks on the mushroom. Yeah, apparently it's an edible mushroom and it was eaten by a lot of Roman emperors, so that's why it's been coined the term of Caesar's mushroom. I started with the puffball because I felt like it would be a really good warm-up, because most puffballs have that same white color, unless they browned on the outside, but I'm going with those nice white puffballs. This wild blue mushroom here gives fantasy vibes. It's called the Entoloma hoxtiteri, and two things I find interesting about this mushroom is number one, of course, the vibrant blue color. Like, you don't see blue that often in nature. And number two is the fact that the stem is the same color as the cap, which we haven't seen that often. Apparently it's native to New Zealand here, and they even have it on their $50 note. Any fans from New Zealand watching that knew about that? Speaking of fantasy style mushrooms, I had to throw in the Mycena chlorophyos. Not only is it a green mushroom, which is very uncommon, well, the thing is, it's not always a green mushroom, only when it's glowing. It produces a chemical reaction, which is quite short during its fruiting stage, which gives it that glow and that green look, and then shortly after it goes back to having that white palish cap. I also knew going into this project there was a lot of furry type of mushrooms, so I wanted to implement one of those, and I found that the best one, it has a parasol-like shape, which is why they call it the parasol mushroom. It's called the Macrolepiota procera, and it can grow to be humongous. So this is one of those mushrooms that we can actually realistically make gigantic in our build, and it's great because it's a white mushroom in the style of a stem and cap, unlike the puffballs, which are more just circular mushrooms on the ground. So some variation amongst the white mushrooms. This one's tough, guys. Before I show you guys the actual build of me recreating this mushroom, tell yourself, how do you think you would recreate this mushroom? You know, what blocks would you use? Because the best thing I could possibly think of is just spamming a bunch of those mangrove trapdoors, because they have a circle, and also putting fences and fence gates in the middle. A shape like this is hard to recreate in Minecraft, especially on a small scale. It's called the Clathris ruber. To me, it looks like coral. Like if I were to touch it, it would be hard like a rock, but I'm reading here it's supposed to be fleshy like most mushrooms, which makes it even more creepy in my opinion. This is one of those builds, it doesn't happen very often, but it's where you get to use really vibrant blocks like colored wool, colored concrete, colored terracotta. I even went to the end and collected a couple shulker boxes for, oh, I think I just broke a skulk vein. You can place skulk veins on them, but if you open it up, they'll break. As you guys can see, it's nighttime here, but the bottom of the caps are still lit up because I used glow lichen. For this one here, I'm just able to use the glow berries. If you look from a distance, I think it adds a really nice effect. I even did it with the red mushrooms here. It just gives you something for your eyes to stare at rather than staring into a black abyss like over here. These are the smaller versions here. I had to get a little bit creative when it came to just using an azalea sapling and a glow lichen. You have to use creative liberties sometimes when it comes to replicating real life things in Minecraft. So we've lit up just about every custom mushroom here so that it looks good at nighttime, even the red ones here. But what about the brown mushrooms? How can we secretly hide lighting to make it stand out at night? Could do like a glow lichen at the top there, but I'm thinking that'll stand out too much. Yeah, you can still tell. What to do. What I might do is where the stem is, right in the center here, is I might put a lighting block here and then throw a carpet or something on top. Thing is, if I put a lantern or something and I cover it up with the carpet in the middle there, what do you guys think? Can you tell? I'm just kidding, obviously you can freaking tell. What should I do there? Could use a trapdoor or something like that too, but it'll all stick out. Think. Use your Minecraft brain. I don't know, guys. I hopped in a creative here. I tried using a copper bulb. I tried changing the block entirely to wool so that the blending with the carpet on top would be better. I looked at the wiki and I realized that mushrooms themselves actually emit one light block. Can you tell? If you guys look closely, you can see the lighting is changing quite slightly. So for lighting up the base of these huge mushrooms, I could place a bunch of the smaller ones and it might make a bit of a difference. Like compared to this shadowy area, it's not so shadowy here, but you can't put mushrooms on top of these big mushroom blocks, so we're still stuck in terms of how to light up the top of this cap. And let me know if you guys can think of anything, because I am honestly stumped. This feels wrong. It's the azalea tree, but in the mushroom fields biome with the super green leaves. Your eyes get used to looking at a certain color of leaf for so long, it just seems a little bit odd. Seeing something out of place, it's like seeing your teacher at the grocery store. Oh snap, check it out guys, I'm just building these custom mushrooms here, and like I said, there's a plot of grass right on the side which is connected to the deep cold ocean, and sure enough, mobs are able to spawn. Wonder if that'll be useful in any way, aside from like zombie villagers. Well, let me start by saying these mushroom patches are looking really good guys, but there is something that's missing. I know that it's a mushroom field, and so there's not supposed to necessarily be any trees or organic material, but we're gonna do what we're talking about, where there's dirt patches, we need to change the floor. If everything's mycelium, then nothing's mycelium. We're gonna put decomposing trees, we're gonna put leaf litters, just a bunch of organic material that's dead to represent the mycelium feeding on things and growing and eventually fruiting these beautiful mushrooms. So in the spots where there are mushrooms, I definitely want the mycelium. It's the spots where there's a lack of mushrooms, like maybe a patch right here, where I would go with some variation of coarse dirt or rooted dirt or something like that. So I'll get back to you guys in a second here. Snap guys, I gotta find a mushroom quick, it's lightning, here we go. Shout out to Ben for bringing my trident, because I would not have it if it weren't for him, but we've got ourselves a brown mushroom. Let's get two just to make sure. Now every time I breed these two guys up here, it should give us a baby brown mushroom. I think there's a very slight chance it could be a red again. Oh look, it's the new brown mushroom. How cute is that? I wonder how many people who play Minecraft have actually seen the new baby brown mushroom. Probably one of the last baby variants you'd see. Alright, let's bring him over to our house. Got him leaded up. Now let's go get a dandelion. Alright, so now anytime I want the suspicious saturation stew, instead of crafting it with the red and brown mushroom as well as the dandelion in a bowl, all I have to do is feed each of these guys a dandelion here. Then run around with some bowls, right clicking. And if you don't have a dandelion, then you could just right click it with a regular bowl to get a nice mushroom stew. Whoa, I just caught a lightning actually striking the mushroom naturally. It got the adult and the baby, so I wouldn't have even needed the channeling trident. I could have got lucky. I could have used the lightning rods as well, but how often do you see the lightning naturally strike these mushrooms? Pretty cool. So in terms of food, guys, we have the best food in the game, and we're getting it in the most renewable way. Dude, I knew I was gonna do this, but it turned out even better than I thought. I put a spore blossom inside of the Mycena chlorophyll there, and now it's emitting all of these spore particles. Green, just like the Mycena chlorophyll, and usually when I'm building with the spore blossoms, I'm like going underground and placing it, or going in a roof and placing it. But since it's directly in the center of this mushroom here, the area of effect is quite large, which for the purposes of this build, we're saying that the particles are spores that are coming from the mushroom and then going into the atmosphere and germinating. But it's kind of funny because the spore blossom actually is spore particles, but not particular to a spore mushroom, I don't think. I don't know, what is the actual flower part of, I mean, it's a flower, it's not a mushroom, but it releases spores. Can some things that aren't mushrooms also release spores? I think that's a good question. No, mushrooms are not the only organism that releases spores. Spores are a common reproductive method for many other organisms, including plants. Well, that's good to know, just so that we're not mistaken here. This is indeed a plant that's producing spores and not a mushroom. I mean, obviously it doesn't look like a mushroom, but like I said, for this build, we're using these particles as if they're mushroom spores. Follow me along this path here. I'm still working on it, but there's a lot more organic material. Like I said, the mycelium is focused on the spots where there's actual mushrooms. I decided to put one lively tree in here. Honestly, I didn't mean to do it. I meant to just place a mangrove sapling on the ground, but then I forgot to put a string, and now it grew pretty large here. But I think it could be an interesting contrast within this whole biome. Putting a couple firefly bushes around the house, just making it nice and particle-y. Honestly, we could use these white particles from the firefly bush as particles for the mushroom spores, because mushroom spores in real life are this white color here. So in terms of spore particles, we got firefly bushes, we have spore blossoms. What else could we do? It's too bad that the end rod particles don't have a large area of effect, because they give particles similar to the firefly bush in terms of being white, and they would resemble spores. Like I showed last episode, with commands you can make it a broader range, but they're too close to the end rods. There's got to be something else. But there is one mushroom that's missing. I was talking with Jonas and Ben earlier. There's a mushroom that's native to Ontario. It's called a chicken of the woods, and I've actually been working on the design a bit. What do you guys... Where'd it go? The joke was supposed to... There it is. These models are so small. Let's try it again. All right, guys, I've been working hard on a model for chicken in the woods, and here it is. Just doesn't hit the same the second time. Okay, but actually chicken of the woods. The thing is, with mushroom fields, there's mycelium everywhere, so you can place mushrooms just about anywhere. It doesn't matter the lighting. But let's say that I wanted to build a decaying tree here, and I just put a bunch of logs down. If I wanted to place a mushroom, I can't. Sometimes you see the fallen trees in nature like we were talking about before, but those are naturally generated. Once they're broken, a lot of the time you can't replace the mushroom. And so I wanted to do a decaying tree and have some sort of mushroom model on it, and I know I couldn't use these mushrooms here, so what we're gonna do instead is use coral fans, like the horned coral fans here. And as you guys can see, if I place the horned coral fan and I wait a few seconds, then it'll dry out and it won't have that yellow color, which is the color that I want for the chicken of the woods. So the trick that we're gonna do is make a couple slabs here and try and like hide them within the flooring here. Put water in that spot too, cover it up with the slab, and then we use the horned coral fans, and that way they won't dehydrate. We can have some chicken of the woods on the side of the log. I'm strategic with my slab placement too. I think I can keep it a little bit more hidden within this general area. We just place some slabs. You know, it's a simple design, but it's good. The chicken of the woods. There's some ways we can improve it though. Like for example, with the stem of the tree, we could show it breaking off like this here, or maybe I'll just do one block and closer. The further away we could do it, we would just have to build it taller, right? Something like that instead. But I think I always prefer closer and stumpier. Number two, we're already starting to do this with the leaf litters and the surrounding dirt blocks, but just blending here. And I think this is a good opportunity to very sparsely put a few pieces of grass around here. Because last time I'll say it, we know the mycelium sucks up all the vegetation that's around, all of its nutrients. But also just from a visual, like aesthetics perspective, we have a vibrant yellow here and we have a vibrant green here, along with some vibrant reds along the side too, all of which are drawing our attention. It's like I remember seeing that one video about testing people's eye tracking and seeing where they stare at, and most people stare at, you know, eyes, but obviously some people stare at body parts and stuff. In this case, where is your eye drawn to? Because for me, you might think it's the coral fan here, but it's actually the grass. Either way, the important part is it's not the slab below, the thing that we're using to hide the water. And I will say this too, in this spot in particular, we cannot place fungus on top like the brown or red mushrooms, but if we were in a more shaded area, maybe underneath a huge red mushroom like this, then it would be dark enough where we could place fungus on top. But also just in terms of sizes, we can scale this up. You know, right now it's a 1x1, but we can make it a upside down T style shape here and have some chicken of the woods on the side here as well. So I'm just going to place some grass, do some blending. I forgot to mention this too, but if you use stone slabs, this is actually a Ben special. He taught me this. Stone, cobblestone. Actually, my favorite is tuff slabs. Where are my tuff slabs at? These ones right here, they make for really good pebbles or just stones along your path. And check it out, we're getting all those green spores. And one more thing, which might be the most important part, is right now it's just a complete piece of wood. But the thing about decaying wood and mycelium is the mycelium starts to slowly take over the wood and consume it. So what we should do is we should be taking some spots here, like a chunk on the bottom, maybe a chunk on the top, and replacing it with mycelium. I know it's going to seem a little bit crazy at first, but give it a second for your eyes to adjust, guys. It's one of those, like, you got to hear me out on this one, but take a minute, look at it, let your eyes adjust. I saw B00, I was watching a recent video of his.
I might sit with something for a day or two, hours of walking by an area.
And he said sometimes it takes days of just sitting on something to see if you really like it. But the cool part about this is if we use mycelium and blend it with the log, then it doesn't matter about lighting. We could just place the funguses on top of any of those spots. Honestly, I would even take one piece of mycelium here and maybe change it to like a coarse dirt, some coarse dirt along the bottom as well. Now that is what I'm talking about. That is how you make a decaying log with fungus on a grand scale and a little bit of a smaller scale over here. I'm gonna have to cut it there for the custom mushrooms though, because I truly could just keep going and going. I mean, how many mushrooms even exist in this universe? And I'm sure we're still discovering more all the time. So we're definitely getting to the final act here, guys. But there is one more thing that I want to do, which is create a sort of like automatic mushroom farm. I wanted to mess around with the mechanics of the mushroom as well, because if you right click on it with a shear like such, then you can manually shear it and collect the red mushrooms and it transforms into a regular cow. But we know that the shear has an automatic component to it if you put it in a dispenser and activate it. That's the same mechanic you can use to automatically harvest honey from a bee's nest if you have a dispenser with shears directly connected to it. So my logical next question is, as somebody doing the mushroom playthrough, is if I have the dispenser and shear set up with a mushroom beside it, will it automatically harvest the mushroom? The answer is yes, it is, guys. Yes, it is. Which means, hypothetically, we could have mushrooms above in a chamber. We could do the old chain trick. You guys might be familiar with this one. It's a simple setup, but if you have two chains oh my goodness, I said two chains again. I'm having flashbacks to that last river episode. One chain, I need like two chains, but this could potentially look like an upside down.
Chains. Sorry.
Bro. Two chain. Dang it, Jonas. Why are you in my head when you're not even like in a Discord call with me? I shouldn't have another man's voice in my head like that. All right, anyways, if I had two mushrooms placed like this, right, and you breed them up and they can fall through to the bottom, I think. Give them a second. Yeah, they fell through. At which point they fall into this funnel. Make sure it's blocked off here. You'd have to give them a little bit of time to mature so that you could harvest the mushrooms off of them. You can't harvest them in their baby stage. Actually, they don't even have mushrooms in their baby stage. I just killed the baby mushrooms and I'm replacing it with adults for speed. speed purposes. It's like in those cooking channels when they don't want to wait to actually cook something in an oven, so they're like, I actually have it prepared in the fridge here. Oh, it just happened. But I didn't even have anything activated. Wait, if you just have a dispenser constantly activated, then when the mushroom finally grows up, it'll just shear it. I don't have any special circuitry hooked up. I just have a lever connected to this dispenser with a shear. Let's think about this at a large scale, guys. I'm gonna breed a ton of these mushrooms here. This could have been a crazy addition to the particle trick, guys. Hear me out, because if all of these mushrooms get breeded and they spawn and they fall in this chamber at the same time, and this dispenser is activated right now, then when they all grow up, it should theoretically have a big mushroom explosion with all of them converting to cows. And this should be some of those mushroom transformation particles that are the same as the shulker particles I was talking about. Let's see if it happens in the game the way I'm picturing in my head right now. Nothing? Oh, they're just suffocating. No! It was supposed to be epic. What's the problem now, guys? We would have to have the dispenser with shears connected to some sort of loop, whether it be a hopper clock or an observer loop. I'll just do an observer loop for now, just to make it super simple. If anyone's ever wondering how to do it, you just have them facing each other. So every time one observer updates, the other observer is recognizing that, and it's a loop of observation. Now if I come back over here, as you can see, as fast as I'm spawning mushrooms, they are being sheared. So if I wanted like a semi-AFK mushroom farm, all I would need to do is have this activated at the bottom here, and then at the top I could do some sort of like, can you do F3 plus T and right click to feed mobs? Let me try. So I hold right click so that I'm actively trying to right click with the wheat. Then I pressed F3 plus T and I hover over the mushrooms, and yeah, I'm not right clicking right now, but it's still breeding them. So if this chamber here at the top had enough space for the mushrooms to roam, then they could walk around, allowing me to breed them without me having to move or even be at my computer. And if it's the case that I have to expand this top chamber here lengthwise, then it'll be pretty simple, because all I have to do is have a water stream below where I'm funneling all of the cows into one spot, or should I say mushrooms who are being turned into cows. And that way we only need to have one dispenser that's actually on a loop. So it's obviously a very crude demonstration here. I mean, I'm building with mycelium and whatnot, but let's take it over to the survival and do it properly. All right, guys, I think I got the automatic mushroom harvester set up here. I mean, it's not the prettiest, but it does the job. I think. I haven't tested it yet. This is the chamber where the baby mushrooms who are bred will be fed into. So let's go to the top chamber here where I have a bunch of mushrooms just chilling. We can breed them up and hopefully they fall through to the bottom. Let's take a look. Yep, they're falling through. They're being funneled all to one spot right here. As you can see, we also have a set of hoppers connecting to this dispenser, which is for this chest right here. It says fill with shears, so I can craft a bunch of shears here and just fill it all up, and then it'll get fed into this dispenser. That way when the pair of shears does eventually break, it'll get replaced so that we can infinitely shear the mushrooms without any shortage of resources. And you could even have an iron farm connected to this and then use an auto crafter to constantly craft shears and have it feeding in, and all you'd have to do is use an item filter to get rid of the poppies. By the way, guys, with this observer loop, it's super annoying, and one simple way to fix that is, you know, put it a little bit back here. The observer itself makes no sound when it's on the loop. It's the dispenser that makes a sound. So all we have to do is block this spot using a sticky piston like this, because when the sticky piston's not activated, the signal's able to go through and activate the dispenser. But if I were to activate this sticky piston, then that signal is not able to be sent through. So it's completely quiet. It's just a little silencer. So all we have to do is take that sticky piston and hook it up to a lever like so, and now it's completely silent. But if we want to start harvesting all the mushrooms, we can right click. I mean, I should really organize where all these levers are. I just kind of placing levers and hoppers and chests all over the place. It was going to bother me too much if I didn't fix it. Okay, now we got the silencer right here. Turn it on, turn it off, and we got the crusher right beside it, labeled. I find that when I do redstone projects, it's like I remember everything when I'm doing it. Okay, I know this lever is to silence it, I know this lever is to crush it, but then when you walk away from the project for a bit and you come back, you're like, wait, what do all these things do again? And also, it doesn't help that with most things I have a terrible memory, so let's label. Now it's thundering, and I feel like I waited so long for it, and there's no purpose to it now. I remember Mogswamp talking about this with his super flat world, but I know there's a lot of items in this game where it's like hard to obtain once, but once you have it, it's really easy to obtain. Like the example I immediately think of is the 15 inventory llama. I spent so much time breeding, you know, hundreds of llamas. And once you get to 15 inventory llamas, it's like you can breed them and get 15 inventory llamas consistently. So you spend all that time doing selective breeding, and then when you finally get it, it's like you never have to go through that trouble again, as long as you preserve those those mobs. I think another good example is these brown cows that need the lightning strike. It's hard to get it for the first time, but once you get it, you can just keep breeding up those brown Mooshrooms. What do you think, guys? What are some other examples? I feel like this is a basic one, but the elytra, it's like once you get the elytra, you can fly from end city to end city and collect them so much quicker. But when you're traveling in the end without an elytra, it's like a lot longer. Let me know if you guys can think of any examples. Got some adult Mooshrooms here, or should I say test subjects. It's time. First, let's hit them with the silencer so that we start shearing them. Look, they're all getting sheared. That was so beautiful. So they're all sheared up. I checked the chest and look at that. Red mushrooms are being filled up. I have to make this farm but duplicate it with the brown Mooshrooms. Now I can collect all of my mushrooms here, and these cows are no longer of use to me, so I hit them with the crusher, so it also doubles as a cow farm. I mean, for this playthrough, I'm only eating mushroom related items, but you get the idea. Where'd all the food go? It didn't go in the, it's definitely behind in the wall. You just know that there's a bunch of random, yeah, I'll cover that up. Well guys, it's that time. It's the end of the episode. I want to thank you all so much for watching and waiting patiently for this upload to even come out. Along with the recording and editing for this video, it took longer because I had to do actual research for this one, but I want to take a minute to shout out the book that by far helped me the most to understand about mushrooms. It's called Edible and Poisonous Mushrooms of the World. There's a free PDF online. If you guys search up Edible and Poisonous Mushrooms of the World PDF, it'll pop up. Genuinely one of the coolest things I've ever read. I used to be a big bookworm, but I kind of stopped reading for a while, and it was this book that is kind of making me fall back in love with reading. And there's a ton of other things in the description, which are all the things that I used to research this video. So if you're interested in learning more about mushrooms, definitely take a look at that. To be honest, there's still so much that I wanted to do. Like, I have a long list of ideas, so who knows, maybe I'll make a sequel to this episode. But it's one of those things like I was talking about before with creating the custom mushrooms. It's like this can go on forever. There's so many ideas around just one item in the game, which makes me excited because it's like I feel like I can make videos forever, even though it's a game that is just a single game. You know, a lot of Minecraft YouTubers get burned out or whatever. I've been watching a couple of these like video documentaries about YouTubers getting burnout, and for me it's like I couldn't feel the opposite. The further I've been getting into this series and the more I'm understanding about how things work, the more I'm excited to play, honestly. Last thing I'll say is for some of the newer viewers, I know it's hard to go back and watch almost 50 episodes worth of series, and the old content honestly isn't as good anyways, so I don't blame people for like not going back and watching everything, but there's a lot of references to builds and moments that happen throughout the series. So I've officially decided that for episode 50 of the series, we're gonna do a humongous world tour. It's gonna be my biggest video yet, and that's all I had to say. Thank you guys so much for watching. Peace out. By the way, I don't know if anybody caught this, but I didn't eat a single rabbit stew throughout this whole episode. Check my statistics. You guys know how I said I was going to check back in at the end? Not a single rabbit stew was consumed.